Let's talk about all the different options for the Utah Jazz in this draft. It's the Hoops Nerd Show. All right, guys, let's just get right into this. If you're a Utah Jazz fan or an NBA fan, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. All right, so Utah is coming into this draft with the number 5 pick. There are so many options for Utah in this draft. There are so many rumors going on right now. It's crazy. We're going to go over each and every different option the Utah Jazz have. Let's start first. The first option, I guess you could say the Utah Jazz have in this draft is to trade up to number 3 and take VJ Edgecombe. It is clear that is who the Philadelphia 76ers are going to take. Utah would need to trade up to number 3 if they want to do that. What that's going to take is bringing on Paul George's contract. And basically you're trading Lauri Markkanen for Paul George and the number 3. Now, maybe you don't have to give up the number 5 pick to make that happen, but my guess is Daryl Morey's going to ask for that. And the question is VJ Edgecombe worth that? I don't know if Paul George, if you brought him over, would ever play a single minute for the Utah Jazz, but it's certainly something to think about. VJ Edgecombe obviously would fit a culture of drafting the Utah Jazz need to do. Edgecombe is probably one of the toughest guys in this draft, one of the players that plays two-way next to like Cooper Flagg and guys like that, and maybe guys like Colin Murray-Boyles with his defensive impact. But he is the best athlete in this draft. He is a guy that will come in and, think Alex Caruso with 1% athleticism is kind of what you're looking at with VJ Edgecombe. And that's a guy you can bring onto your team. Now, he's not going to be a superstar, but if you are as a Jazz team, and I think this is something they can take from the Oklahoma City Thunder, is that when we talk culture, the stuff people talk about with culture and winning and all this stuff is stupid. The way people talk about it online, as if culture doesn't change immediately when you get a superstar onto your team. What Utah needs to do and what teams in general need to do with culture is culture through drafting. You draft guys that play a certain way, that are a certain way, ultra competitive, hate losing, play to win. It doesn't matter who's on their team. It doesn't matter who they're playing or when. They're going to play to win. And that's VJ Edgecombe. To me, I think it's probably worth it because I would just like the Jazz players that are on this team to play to win and to be on the right timeline. Timelines matter. They just do. If anyone says timelines don't matter, well, then tell me how the last 2 seasons went for the Utah Jazz just keeping players because timelines don't matter, right? Silliness. All right, so the next option for Utah Jazz, and I don't know if this player is going to be available. A lot of the rumors, Jonathan Givony's latest boards for ESPN, have Kon Knueppel going to the Charlotte Hornets at number 4. Very unlikely. I mean, those things could change, but it seems like that's what the Charlotte Hornets are doing. But there are a lot of rumors out there that there are teams trying to trade into like the number 4 spot. And I think that comes from Givony as well. I'm not 100%. It might be Sharania, Givony. I can't remember. But there is an element of other teams trying to trade up to number 4. And the question is for who? Is one of these teams from 6 through 9 trying to get Ace Bailey? It kind of seems like Jeremiah Fears is also a guy that some of those teams are trying to get because it sounds like Utah is really interested in Jeremiah Fears from multiple reports. And so I think there are teams that know that now, and there may be, and my guess is Brooklyn is the team is trying to trade to number 4. They're the team that's been kind of linked to Jeremiah Fears for a while. Although we've also heard reports that Ace Bailey has trying to kind of weave his way to Brooklyn. But recently we also got rumors that he's okay with going to the Washington Wizards at 6. So maybe the Ace Bailey camp heard about the Fears interest from the Brooklyn Nets. Maybe they're trying to change their story. Or maybe Washington's just saying we're taking Ace Bailey if he's there at 6. So I think that Jeremiah Fears is possibility taken at 4. if that's the case, then Kon Knueppel falls to Utah at 5. Is that a player that the Utah Jazz want? Kon Knueppel, I have no doubt, is going to be a nice starter in the NBA. Maybe he becomes more. Maybe he's one of those guys that's so crafty and so smart he becomes kind of a star-level guy, kind of like a Desmond Bane level fringe all-star. He may be that, and that's very likely, I guess. I don't think he's going to ever be an all-star, though. But what he is going to be is he's going to shoot the ball well. He's extremely smart. He plays well. And he kind of fits that culture we're talking about, that culture of playing hard, defending, and also on the offensive end, he's super versatile. Whatever you need him to do, he can do. He can play make, he can handle, he can drive, and he shoots it really well. Great shooter. We'll see. But anyways, Utah could look at Kon Knueppel. I tend to think they probably won't because I just don't think he has kind of everything Utah's looking for. I guess in terms of just trying to get like a focal point guy, right? And I don't know if there's star upside to him like there is with guys like Jeremiah Fears, like there is with like a Tre Johnson or someone like that. I just don't know if that's there. So Utah may look at seeing if they can get some sort of trade partner that might want Kon Knueppel at 5. I don't know if that's what they're going to do. All right, we just mentioned him, but the other option at number 5 is Tre Johnson. And this is a guy that the Utah Jazz have brought in for workouts. It's clear that they have interest in him from different reports that we've seen. I like Tre Johnson, but there's some things that make me really nervous. The good is he is just an elite shooter. Elite. He can light it up. He's a guy that can shoot, score 10 points in 2 minutes because he's hitting threes and mid-range and all sorts of things. He's one of those guys that can go on his own run, He can shoot the mid-range. He can shoot the three. He cannot score at the rim at a high level. It's concerning. So what his game is going to be is three-point shooting, which is fine if he's just an absolutely elite three-point shooter. And that includes catch and shoots and shooting off the dribble. He is just an incredible shooter. It is very appealing. If Utah gets him, then it's going to be interesting, and you're going to see him have some nights where things go crazy. The other thing outside of not being able to score at the rim very well, and he's not getting free throws, is the defense is bad, guys. It's not good. Like, really not good. To the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, where you've got a guy who he's 6'4.5" or something like that without shoes. So 6'6" with shoes, and he's got a 6'10" wingspan, and in like 34 minutes per game, less than 1 steal. Guys, how do you not get at least 1 steal per game with that type of physical measurements? What it is effort and mentality. And I just don't know if you want to bring that onto the Jazz, to be honest. The number one problem with this Utah Jazz team has been defense. And some of that has been related to the turnovers, which we're going to talk about with Jeremiah Fears. But a lot of that is just defense. Like, who on the Jazz defense has been really good? I mean, you could say Walker Kessler, but when the Utah Jazz the last 2 seasons have been the number 30 defense in the NBA, and Walker Kessler has been on this Jazz team and has played, and they're still the number 30 defense, there's a lot of questions I got for this Jazz team. A lot of questions. And I have a hard time at this point wanting to draft guys that are not defending the ball. I am tired of bringing guys on and hoping that they decide they want to play defense. Is that really what we want? I'm moving my thing here. But do you know what I mean? You know what I would rather do is hope for guys that can like develop certain skills, improve on the shooting, improve on certain elements of their game, playmaking, whatever. I don't want to improve on effort on defense. Okay, effort is not something you teach. Motor is not something you teach. I want guys that care, that are competitive, that work hard on both ends of the floor. That's why VJ Edgecombe is really interesting to me. Really, really interesting. Because yes, maybe VJ Edgecombe is similar to Kenipple, that maybe he's not going to be a superstar. I do think VJ Edgecombe, because of that athleticism, has a higher ceiling. Who knows what that could become? He's just gotten better and better and better. I just am worried about Tre Johnson with that defense. It's bad. It's bad. And I don't think it's going to get better, to be honest. I don't like the idea of hoping that effort gets better or motor gets better. Sorry. Yes, he can shoot the lights out, and maybe he's a transcendent shooter. Maybe he's so transcendent shooting the ball that it overlooks the fact that he's not defending. But man, when I watch these finals with the Thunder and the Pacers, and you have guys just killing themselves to try to steal the ball, defend, run in transition, stop transition plays, just defend their hearts out in every possession of a game, it's hard for me to see that, and I just don't like it. So if the Jazz pick Trey Johnson at number 5, I'm going to root for that guy really hard. And I'm hoping that maybe he proves me wrong and he can just turn it on. And maybe he's one of those few guys that decides to become a good defender. And sometimes that happens. But man, I just don't want to bank on that type of thing anymore. We'll see. All right, then next, let's say VJ Edgecombe goes 3. Someone trades up to 4, but they surprisingly take Jeremiah Fears. Ace Bailey's there at 5, and this is the option for Utah to just take him. And I know there was some report out here today, Utah's not his preferred destination. So what? I don't think it was the preferred destination for Karl Malone when he was with the Jazz. And one of my favorite quotes from Karl Malone, or from Larry Miller about Karl Malone, is he was a pain in the ass, but he was our pain in the ass. Right? That's what I kind of think about with Ace Bailey, because the shooting numbers and everything are a little troubling, but when you watch him play, you see certain plays and you see certain things that make you go, wow, there is a player here that if he puts it all together can be that star, maybe even superstar, that Utah's been searching for and that all these teams are searching for. And honestly, the defensive numbers are pretty good, pretty decent. And you see plays where he's getting weak side shot blocking. You see the length, you see the athleticism. If you were designing a player and saying there's 3 things you can have with this player, wouldn't they be size, athleticism, and shot making? That's what he brings. Now, there's a mental aspect. There's an off-the-court aspect with his agent. There's certain things that are just kind of red flags. If it's a competitive issue, if it's a I don't care, I just want to get my points issue, then maybe you better pass on him. But if it's more that it's just like he doesn't want to work out for you because he's trying to angle him his way to certain teams, then so what? And I could see someone like Danny Ainge saying, so what? Let's draft the best player available, and why wouldn't we draft Ace Bailey? We missed out on the lottery, and he's going to fall to us anyway. That's a win. If you think he is that guy, if you have had interactions enough with him that make you think that he could be an absolute stud for you, and you can bring him into Utah, he can be the focal point that he wants to be, then why not just draft him? If you know that the behind the scenes is a red flag and you are just not interested in bringing on a guy that's not interested in playing hard, that's not interested in defending, that's not interested in anything but getting his points, then maybe you pass. I mean, there are red flags in the numbers too. I mean, 1 point something, it's like 1 assist per game on a high usage rate. It's not good. It's like historically low assist rate, like 8% or something like that. It's not good. But maybe it can be better. If you think it can get better, if you think that you can just kind of bring him in and make him the focal point and make him the star he wants to be in Utah, it might be worth it. But we shall see. The next one, we talked about him. This is the one, guys, where I kind of... Probably a good idea for you to go out and do some Jeremiah Fears tape, because every single report out there is pointing towards the Utah Jazz very, very interested in Jeremiah Fears. Multiple visits to the Utah Jazz for workouts. Very recently, we know he's had 2 since the draft combine. 2. And there may have been more before then. He also is someone that there are multiple teams looking to trade up for him. There are a lot of great signs with Jeremiah Fears as a player, guys. And, some like people online who haven't watched a single thing, and I'm not saying I'm this draft guy, but I do talk to a lot of people. I talk to a lot of different... I would compare him to Kyrie Irving. He is like the same age as Kyrie Irving when Kyrie Irving came out from Point. They're very similar in that they reclassified their younger coming in at like 18 years old, played well in college. I mean, Jeremiah Fears started at Oklahoma and struggled and then got better as the year went on. It's not a long list of players that played at a high level as reclassified point guards in college and played as well as he did, especially in the tournament and what he showed. The guy has basically the scouting report on Jeremiah Fears. Well, and let's talk about the cons right now. Everyone says he's undersized. He was 6'2.5" without shoes. That means he's 6'3", 6'4". Is that a smaller guard? In this day and age, yeah, but it's probably big enough, right? It's not like he's measuring 5'11" or something like that. He's bigger than Donovan Mitchell, at least in height. Mitchell's got the weight on him, and that's what made Mitchell impressive, was just how physically strong he was. But Fears is like, I think I was watching an interview with him. He's at 185. He's 6'2.5", which is basically 6'3", 6'4" with shoes. The size is probably big enough. And then the defense. When you watch him play, he averaged 1.6 steals per game. That's more, honestly, that's a more impressive number than Tre Johnson. He's trying hard. He steals the ball. He'll jump passing lanes. He tries. And honestly, with time, he may become like, if he's just an average or maybe even a slightly above average defender, that's an absolute incredible win. We saw in these playoffs that guys like Nembhard can defend really well. If the effort's there, the conditioning's there, and the want and the competitiveness is there. And my guess is Danny Ainge, who tends to like, and I'm guessing Austin Ainge too, who helped draft Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. These guys lean towards wings. They know that winning archetype. If they're willing to take Jeremiah Fears, that's got to tell you something, right? If they're willing to take those guys when you know that those guys tend to lean towards the wings, it means they like something about Jeremiah Fears. It probably tells you that dog in him factor is good. The competitiveness is good. And the guy you want to compare him to is likely a Kyrie Irving type. He has, the scouting report is he has the best handle in the draft, the best handle. He can get to anywhere he wants on the floor. He has an elite first step. He can get to the rim. He scores at the rim at a high level. He's very Kyrie Irving-esque. Now, people are saying can't shoot. Well, maybe. He shot 28% from three. But when you go watch the workouts, and all the reports are from the Jazz workouts with Fears, is that he was absolutely awesome. Awesome in his workouts. So he's shooting the ball really well. I feel like my shirt is like, look like a slough. What am I doing? Anyways, he looked awesome apparently. He's shooting great in workouts. He got better as the season went on. He can get to wherever he wants on the floor. He's one of the youngest players in the draft with Cooper Flag from reclassification. He proved himself in college. He's got that dog. He might be special. Like, he might be really special. And there is a archetype to winning titles or being a finals team with that. If you bring in Fears and then you know you're going for AJ DeBonsa next year, that's a winning formula. Having like your superstar on the wing and then an elite playmaking scorer at the point is great. And then if Utah can fill all the gaps with defenders, Taylor Hendricks, I guess if they keep Walker Kessler, then you've got defense there, and then you've got to find other two-way players to fill those gaps. But it makes sense, and you can win with a guy like this at a high level, championship level, if you make the draft. But you've got to get that next star next to him. And obviously Utah missed out on Cooper Flag. Next year, there's 3 or 4 guys that are number 1 pick quality, and Utah needs a chance to get one of them as well. They've got to. And if they do, and Jeremiah Fears is next to him, it's going to be pretty incredible. Pretty awesome. So just go take a look at Jeremiah Fears. The tape is great. Now, I've been sharing online that the other option is to take Khaman Maluach. I think Utah could trade back and get Khaman Maluach still. Like, maybe Utah can trade back one spot if they don't want to get Ace Bailey, maybe you trade back one spot with Washington, get some sort of other asset, and take Khaman Maluach. Now, why would you do that? Well, it's interesting. Utah has brought him into a workout. It was reported. They tried to keep it a secret. Mountain Dew, Baja Blast. But guess what? The Utah Jazz brought in Khaman Maluach. They're looking at him. Malawatch in his workouts is also shooting the lights out, and his shot looks good. And I personally was frustrated with Duke because before he went to Duke, we saw that he could shoot the ball. If Utah wants to be on the same level as some of these championship teams that were there now, they need to have a center that fills, it's basically the unicorn mold. And what that is the center that shoots the three on one end and defends the rim on the other. Man, am I getting sick? Not feeling great, guys. But anyways, that is the unicorn mold. Utah could fill that mold with Khaman Maluach. One thing I have a hard time with, and this is something I've thought about, is I will hear people say, why would we draft Khaman Maluach? You don't even know if he'll be as good as Walker Kessler. How do you know he'll even be as good as Walker Kessler? Well, for one thing, he's already better than Walker Kessler at the free throw line. Walker Kessler, a 50% or 51% free throw shooter after 3 seasons. Khaman Maluach shot 75% from the free throw line this last season. Okay? So we know he can shoot the ball. Walker Kessler, they tried to have him shoot the three for do you remember that 2 or 3 week period when he was shooting threes? He hit 1. Khaman Maluach can hit the 3, and he did shoot some with Duke. It wasn't at a high percentage, but he only took a handful of shots. If he can get a season where he just is allowed to shoot the 3 with regularity and get comfortable doing it and start knocking them down like he is in workouts and in practices, then he becomes a really special player. And you watched the NBA Finals. I don't know how many of you did. If you did, you've got to count how many possessions those teams play with 5-out offenses. And I was counting, and it got to the point where it was literally every single one. And even on possessions where you did not have a stretch big, like the Thunder did with their new center that they brought in to play next to Chet, because a lot of times they play Chet at 5 to spread the floor. Who's their? I forgot the name of their center they brought in, but he would be running the pick and roll high to spread that floor to have space down low. It makes things so much easier for offenses when you have that 5-out. It's why Miles Turner on the Indiana Pacers is a big deal. Yes, is he a superstar? No, but what he does do is allow you to run offenses that create superstars. If you have no one in the paint because they're all spread out because they have to guard the center who can shoot threes, it makes your better players, it makes your stars even better because they have all that room to work with. If you have Walker Kessler just plopped near the basket in the dunker's spot, that is a clogged lane, and that allows guys like Rudy Gobert and players like that to just be next to the rim and do exactly what they do best, and that is roam and block shots and cause havoc and make things harder for your stars. And so that is why you would take Khaman Maluach, is because not necessarily he is going to be the star, but he lets you play the star's offense. I hope that makes sense. It is much more likely to succeed and become a star when you're playing a system that allows you to be that than if you're in a system that you have to overcome. All right? And honestly, he plays every single style of defense. Switching, hedging, drop, trap, you name it, he did it. And he moves really well, and he's 7'2". He's a monster, and he's only scratching the surface. And yes, he needs to improve as a rebounder. The defensive rebounds in that Final Four game were not great, but his offensive rebound rate is elite, and there is no one in the league that likes offensive rebounds and crashing the boards more than Will Hardy. And there is a lot that Will Hardy could do with Khaman Maluach, with his ability to both shoot the 3 and also crash the boards. I'm telling you right now, I think Will Hardy would love to have a unicorn like Khaman Maluach on the Jazz. And by the way, he would just make the current Jazz players that much better. That much better. It's just a fact. All right, guys, those are basically the options. Let me know what you think in the comments. I want to give just a huge shout out to the All-Stars. All right, let's give a shout out to Baby Elliot Madsen, Ryan Edward Perry, the legend, Christian House Money to Haas, Robert Hall of Fame, Cam Bam, thank you, ma'am, Cam Chin 3, I believe in Steve Jazz Exile, see ya, Alexa Later, Jordan the Goat, Best Rule, Austin R. Grant, Editor Extraordinaire, KG10 to TH5, and Patrick Akubo, the Connoisseur. Guys, like and subscribe to the channel. I will talk to you next time.